Hi, and welcome to Rachel Rassi Design. Today I'm going to show you guys a tutorial on how to make a surgical mask. These are very popular. There's 1,000 tutorials out there right now, so go ahead, pick your favorite. Watch my video if you want, but please be making these for the many hospitals and friends and family that need them. I will say that these are inferior to medical grade materials. This is not your ideal situation that will be wearing these, but the CDC is starting to have nurses and doctors wear bandanas and scarves, which is usually a looser weave than a cotton fabric and doesn't stay put as well as these. So this is definitely second best. If you have a disposable mask available and you're experiencing symptoms, wear that instead. If not, and this is your only option, then it's second best. I will also say before you get started making these, contact your local hospital and ask them if they're giving out kits. A lot of hospitals right now are giving out kits with medical grade filters or fabrics, and will send you the supplies for free and you can make them and return them. The other thing is ask them if they even need these. Some hospitals have enough, so call around, look around on Facebook groups and hospital websites before you get started so that you know what style they're looking for, what materials they're looking for, and all that good stuff. My design is very simple. My elastic's actually in a loop, which is a little bit different, but I liked it. It's a little more adjustable, a little bit quicker, and easier to sew. And a lot of you are asking how to wear it, so I'll show you that. You just do, so this is our top piece where our nose goes, this is the bottom. So the bottom loop goes over your face first, and then the top loop goes over as well. I like this design because it doesn't put stress on your ears. It's a lot easier to wear for a long time, and it's really simple to sew. So what you'll need is cotton fabric. You can use a tea towel, you can use batiks, have a nice tight weave. Just scraps from your stash is fine, but you want a nice tight weave of cotton fabric. You can even use an old t-shirt as long as it's not stretchy. You're also going to want to use some polyester thread if you have it. Polyester holds up better to washing, stretching, wearing. So if you have polyester, go ahead and use it because that'll help extend the life of these masks. You're going to need a pipe cleaner. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can skip this step, but a pipe cleaner makes the nose piece nice and rigid and can actually form to the nose of the wearer. You'll need some kind of cutting supplies. A rotary cutter makes this really easy, but scissors will do just fine. 1/4 inch elastic. We need about 28 inches. You can make smaller sizes for people with smaller faces, but 28 inches seems to be about right, and they can always knot the elastic if it's too large. Lastly, you're going to need a marking pen. This can be a friction pen or a water-soluble marker, but this really helps in marking the pleats on the mask. If you don't have one, chalk works great, or you can just guess. More than perfection, these masks just need to be made so that we can help as many people as possible. So now that you have all the details and info that you need, let's get started on the tutorial. First, we'll start by cutting our fabric down to 13.5 inches by 7 inches. This will be the body of your mask, and you can use scissors, a rotary cutter, or whatever you have on hand. Once you've got that cut, save any scraps you have because we'll use them later for the binding. Now we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam away from the short end to create a tube. Once we've sewn a 1/4 inch seam, we're going to turn our tube right side out, and then we'll press so that the seam you just created is at the top fold of your fabric tube. Once you've pressed, top stitch 3/8 of an inch away from that top seam. This will be where we insert the pipe cleaner later to hold the mask onto the person's nose. Once you've done that, we're going to measure in 1 1/4 inches away from the top of the mask and mark with a marking pen. Next, we'll slide the ruler down 1/2 inch and mark again. We'll do this 2 more times to create a total of 6 lines. We're going to use these 6 lines, or 2 sets of 3, to create 3 ruffles on the front of the mask. I found it's easiest to place the top of the mask towards myself and then pinch those lines, that top line, pinch it, and then tuck the second line under. Pin it in place since we'll be making 3 pleats, and repeat on the remaining 2 sets of lines. If you're having troubles with the lines or don't have a marking tool, you can guess on these pleats. I used my board to measure, and it really doesn't matter as long as there's some sort of pleat on the front of your mask. To create the binding edge or the casing for your elastic, cut a 2-inch strip that's just slightly longer than your mask. I did about a 1/2 inch longer on each end. I folded each end in and ironed so that it's the perfect height and has a finished edge. Then I turned under all the raw edges on my binding strip and ironed to keep it in place. Repeat on the other side. And then fold the whole strip in half to create your casing. You'll create 2 strips like this, but you're only going to put 1 on right now. So you're going to take the raw edge of your mask, match it to the raw edge that you folded under on your binding, fold the whole casing over the edge, and then top stitch right along the folded edge you created. Now that we have one end of your binding or casing on, we're going to create the nose piece for the mask. Cut a pipe cleaner in half. And if you have a pair of pliers handy, fold the edges under and crimp them so that these don't poke the wearer. You can also just do this with your hands if you don't have pliers. Now thread it through the opening that you left when we top stitched at the very beginning of the project. And don't worry if this doesn't reach the whole way across your mask. You don't want it to, because you are no match for a pipe cleaner against your needle. Now we're going to put the binding on just as we did before. Now that we have both casings on, we're ready for elastic. I'm just using 1/4 inch elastic, and I measured it to 28 inches long. This yarn needle was really helpful, although a little bent, but helpful in getting the elastic through the casing. You can also use a safety pin. So put it through one side and then loop around to the other side to create a circle. Once you're finished, sew the 2 ends together to create a loop. Now that your elastic's finished, you can go ahead and pull it through the casing so that that loose end is hidden inside, and you've got yourself a DIY mask. If you need to, you can use water or heat to get rid of the markings that you made on your mask, but everything else is ready to go. Thank you for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and just a quick reminder before I head out, make sure you check with your local hospital before you start making masks. They might offer supplies, specific instructions, or might not need donations at this time. Thank you so much for supporting the community, and I hope you have a wonderful time sewing.